government.
The year is 1803. The case Marbury versus Madison. The issue: can a justice of the peace who was appointed by President Adams but never given his commission be kept from taking office by the next president, Thomas Jefferson?
Of course he can't. A president can't take it upon himself to undo what another president has done.
But why not? If he can fire an appointee, then surely he can prevent an appointment from being carried out.
With all due respect, the issue is not the appointment of a justice of the peace. The real issue is whether the Supreme Court had the power to void legislation it deemed in disagreement with the Constitution.
Are we splitting hairs already, Counselor?
No, we're just getting down to the roots. I would like to quote Chief Justice Marshall, if I may.
And if I may, I'd like to stop you.
Well, shall I quote you the First Amendment on free speech?
We already know that. Let's hear what Justice Marshall had to say.
He said, "The Constitution is either a superior, paramount law, unchangeable by ordinary means, or it is on a level with ordinary legislative acts, and like other acts, is alterable when the legislature shall please to alter it."
In other words, even though the court tried to give the Congress a power that it wasn't granted under the Constitution, the court turned right around and said to the Congress, "Don't tell us what the law is, we will tell you." And they made it stick.
We are grateful for your clarification of the obfuscation inherent in this precedent-setting determination.
What?
In other words, thank you.
My pleasure.
The court has taken strong positions on a multiplicity of issues, and not always to the delight of those who raised the issues in the first place.
You are referring, I assume, to the Dred Scott case of 1857.
A good case in point. By a vote of 7-2, the Supreme Court denied that a Negro was a citizen of the United States, even though he had once lived in a so-called free state. But the nation redeemed itself with the passage of the 14th Amendment, which was adopted in 1868. That, as you all know, gave equality of treatment to both blacks and to whites.
Tell that to a man named Plessy.
Do you wish to be heard, sir?
For centuries.
Then by all means, speak up.
I've been trying that for centuries, too. I would like, if you would indulge me, to call on one of my colleagues to stand in, or in this case, to sit in for Mr. Plessy. The time, 1892. The place, Covington, Louisiana. The case, Plessy versus Ferguson. And now, sir, if you would be so kind as to tell the court your name and background.
Plessy, sir, Homer Adolph Plessy, age 34. I'm 7/8 Caucasian and 1/8 African blood, or, as they say, an octoroon.
And what happened to you, sir?
I was riding on a train going from New Orleans across the state to Covington with a first-class ticket. I was in a coach that was reserved for whites. My plan, you see, was to test the segregation law. I was told by the conductor to leave the car. I refused. Shortly thereafter, I was arrested.
And what did the Louisiana court say when your case came up?
They said that the law, which required the railroad to supply equal but separate accommodations for the white and colored races, was legal.
And what did you do then?
I appealed to the United States Supreme Court.
On what grounds?
On the grounds that I was being deprived of my right to equal protection under the law.
And you won.
And I lost. Justice Brown, delivering the majority opinion, said laws permitting and even requiring their separation do not necessarily imply the inferiority of either race.
In other words, Mr. Plessy, your appeal to the Supreme Court was turned down?
In other words, yes.
Ah, but let us not forget, there was one lone dissenter in that case, and ironically, his are the words that have taken on the most meaning.
That would be Justice Harlan. And if I may be permitted to quote him, he said, "In view of the Constitution, in the eye of the law, there is in this country no superior dominant ruling class of citizens. There is no caste here. Our Constitution is colorblind and neither knows or tolerates classes among citizens. In respect of civil rights, all citizens are equal before the law.
That didn't help our Mr. Plessy, did it?
No, perhaps not. But it did signify that even on the high bench, a minority opinion can sometimes be stronger in the long run than a majority opinion.
In other words...
No other words, sir. Those will do just fine.
I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We move on to the year now 1954. The case, Brown versus the Board of Education.
May I have the brief,